want any recruiter to know is that I'm so much more than just my resume.
LOL! Come on! We both know that all these recruitment platforms are only designed for the companies to get what they want. They don't care about candidates like us.
Not all, buddy. Have you heard of TAG?
Karan Roy, data scientist. Tag score 96%. Interesting.
That's me. And thanks to TAG, now she knows all about my functional, behavioral, technical, and all other relevant skills. TAG indeed is a game changer for me. When I signed up for it, it created this structured, validated, and enriched profile mapped across my numerous skills, knowledge base, and work experience, and created a score. My TAG score. The score and profiling help me present my best professional version to any employer. They can easily find what they need, and if I'm the right fit, my profile shows up instantly. This way, TAG not only helps candidates like me land their dream jobs, but also figure out where they stand amongst their peers and also identify the areas they need to work on.
Wow, this is just the kind of candidate I need. I like how detailed his profile is. Should I even interview this guy?
See, this is how TAG is bringing clarity, communication, and dignity back for us candidates. It also gives me an access to a community of peers, career circles, thousands of jobs, and marquee employers like her to further aid my career growth.
Are you kidding me? Did you just get hired within minutes?
Hi, good afternoon, friends. Thank you so much for joining us on the 19th episode of Career Circles Live. My name is Elton, and I will be your host for today's session. Career Circles are exclusive talent communities by TAG, where talented professionals like each one of you can connect with industry mentors, experts, peers, and recruiters. Career Circle Live is a similar edition of these conversations where we bring the best minds and mentors from the industry to share the latest trends with professionals like you. So friends, without any further ado, let's kickstart today's session. As you may know, the theme for today's session is Careers in Industrial Service for Engineering and Management Talent with thyssenkrupp Industries India. So please join me in welcoming our speaker for today, Mr. Puneet Kalhan, an accomplished leader with 2 decades of proven track record across diverse functions and reputed global industrial MNCs. He currently serves as a director and head of service business at thyssenkrupp Industries India. Prior to joining TK, Puneet had successful tenures managing the service operations in India at Omium International, GE Power India, and Siemens Energy India. Welcome, Puneet.
Hi, Elton. Thank you so
Hi,
much
Puneet.
for the introduction. Looking forward to the conversation. I always relish the moments when I talk about industrial services, and I'm sure this is going to be one of those best ones that I ever had. Thank you.
Yes, I echo your thoughts, Puneet. Thank you so much for joining us today. So before we get started, we have a video for all of you. Let's roll the video. Wow, that's impressive. So in the next 40 to 50 minutes, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about careers related or careers basically in India's industrial services sector. This is going to be an interactive session. So at any point in time, in case anyone has any questions, please feel free to put it up in the chat box and we'll be happy to answer. Great. So Puneet, it's an exciting session. So I would like to start off with the most exciting questions that the question that the crowd would have. I'm sure a lot of job seekers, a lot of experienced professionals over here would want to know what is your thoughts on the current job landscape in India's industrial service market.
Yeah, sure. Before I even talk about the market opportunity which is presented by industrial services, Alton, let me first clarify what do I mean by industrial services. So, by industrial services, I mean all life cycle services that the companies offer for their assets, and these assets right now I'm talking about industrial assets. Now, these could be power generation companies. These could be assets which are sitting in the cement plants. These could be assets which are sitting inside the sugar plants. These could be material handling equipments. If you just look at the manufacturers of the plant and machineries for these respective industries, they usually need to keep also a very efficient supply chain of parts. They also need to resource highly skilled technicians to do the service interventions on those assets. And as you progress further in the life cycle of those assets, you also need expertise around engineering, around project management, around field services to do what we call as retrofit/life extensions for those assets. Now, these could be for performance enhancements, these could be for emission reductions. This is basically the gamut of what I call industrial services. And this continues to be a very exciting market opportunity for all of us. Just to put things in perspective, if you look and simply Google it, or you refer to industry reports, consulting reports, industrial services in India presents a market opportunity as large as $4 to $5 billion worth of revenue that the companies would make every year. On top of that, this is a market which is growing. India is growing at 6 to 8%. These are the kind of projections which are there for the growth of the country's GDP. And industrial sector would continue almost at the same pace. So, as we speak, the future looks absolutely bright for the people who are in industrial services and the ones who are aspiring to get into this.
Great. So a huge landscape, a huge sector. So, Puneet, just thinking, what can be the possible challenges that anyone will face while navigating through their career paths through various through various industries within the industry, basically?
Yeah. So, Alton, I've actually, if I just look back my own career, which is now almost 2 decades, I've spent serving the industrial services, being power, and now in the capital goods manufacturing company. I've always felt that there are 3 most salient challenges that people have to navigate. The first one is that there isn't a very clear and a structured career path which is offered by companies for service employees. What I mean by that, if you are into product development, if you are in engineering, many of the companies, they have invested time and efforts in terms of creating structured career paths. One can become an expert. So as you progress in your designations, everything else comes along with it. But for services, for one reason or the other, most of the companies that I know of, they have actually struggled to offer an equally attractive and a very structured career path for service professionals. This is a challenge. One needs to be aware of this challenge and then do something to navigate it. That's number one. Number 2 is there is also a lack of formal training, development, and certification programs which are offered by companies. Now, what do I mean by it? If somebody joins the service department of a company, does the company offer skilling opportunities formal? I'm not talking about ad hoc, but something which is structured. If you spend 5 years, this is how you would progress in terms of your skills. On top of that, is there a certification program that is offered? If I've spent 5 years, am I today qualified to work on a certain category of assets of my customers, right? So that's the second challenge. There isn't a widespread availability of technical training programs, skilling programs, and opportunities for the service professionals. Third one, which might look very trivial, but it's my personal experience, having been in this sector for that long, that many times the service professionals forget that the service skills are very fungible. What I mean by that, let me explain. If I have worked in power generation companies, right, within the industrial services department of those companies, and I've been, say, managing the parts business for those companies. If I then move to cement manufacturing companies or cement plant manufacturing companies, and if I have to now run the parts business for that company, my personal experience is that the skills are very, very, very fungible, and I should not forget that. So if for any reason I or anybody who is hearing this conversation thinks that she or he is stuck in a particular industry, and there are disruptions that all of us are seeing, power sector is, for example, going through a disruption, so are many other sectors. But if you actually learned industrial services skills in one industry, the skills are fungible for you to explore a very attractive career path into another industry. So I think these are the three challenges, very salient ones, very profound in my personal experience. Lack of structured career paths, lack of formal training, development, and certification programs as are offered by the companies. And third one, which is very intrinsic to people, that is, we do not realize that the skills are very fungible. And hence, many times we miss opportunities to progress in our career by switching from, say, one part of a company to another, or in extreme cases, switching companies also in case the disruption is too profound for that company. But the skills are very fungible. So these three things, Elton, are the ones which I just thought of sharing with the group here today.
Great. A wonderful thing for people where there's no boundaries by industry. So a huge scope for them to grow and learn new things as well. So Puneet, what about TKI's presence in the service sector, industrial service sector?
Before I talk about the services presence of TKI, so let me share with the audience how are we set up as a company. So TKI is a company which is, we celebrated 75 years of our existence in India last year. Over the course of these decades, the company today has got 4 very strong new equipment divisions. So one of those divisions, for example, supplies cement machinery and also does the EPC projects for cement industry in the country. The second one, and which is the oldest one in the company, is the one which manufacture sugar plants and then also undertakes EPC projects within the sugar industry. And then the third one is mining and material handling industry. So if you look at the plant and machinery which goes into the mining industry, then TKI has got a division which is one of the strongest here in the country, which supplies those equipments to the mining and material handling industry and also does the EPC projects. And then the fourth one, which is again one of our largest divisions, this is the energy division. So this is the division which supplies new boilers, new waste heat recovery boilers or CFBC boilers for industrial plants, refineries. And so this is the division which supplies again equipment for the energy industry and also does EPC projects. We also undertake full-fledged EPC projects, building power plants for our customers. Now these are the 4 divisions. Each of those divisions, when it sells plant and machinery to our customers, we are then obligated to also offer extended and extensive services to those customers, and those services are then rendered by the 5th division of the company, which I head. So this is the services division. In services division, not only we serve our own fleet, which is plant and machinery, which has been manufactured, supplied, and commissioned by our other 4 divisions that I just talked about, but we also undertake quite significant business on other OEM fleets. So if there are boilers from other makes, other manufacturers, and if those boilers require life cycle service interventions, those could be retrofits, those could be emission upgrades or performance upgrades. Similarly, for the other industries like cement, like sugar. So we offer also other OEM services from within our services division of TKII. As a company, we have crossed 2,500 and we are strong, we are growing. So is also the services division. So this is one of the largest divisions within TKII. We do parts business. We do, as I said, engineered solutions business, which are also called revamps. And then we have got one of our largest footprint here in the country, which is around operations and maintenance that we do for our customers. It's a fairly strong, multiple thousand, that's the kind of manpower strength that we deploy all across the country.
Great, so that's huge. So earlier we learned about how diversified and spread across is the service industry, and now TK is spread within that. So that's really good. So an important question for various job seekers, Puneet. What kind of skills or attributes does TK look at while hiring someone for their service division?
Again, a great question, and I think I can spend an hour on this question, Elton. But in the interest of time, let me try to structure my answer to this question. We are a division within TKII which is growing. So wherever we are today, be it in terms of business or be it in terms of our the manpower strength that we expect to develop over next years, the only way for us is to grow. And hence, from a recruitment standpoint, we have got all channels open. So the first channel is, of course, we hire freshers. We hire freshers from engineering colleges. We hire freshers also from diploma institutions here in the country, and we also hire MBA students. Now, these are the youngsters, young blood that we require, and that would play a huge role in the growth of our company. Typical assessment that we do for this stream of recruits is when we go to an engineering college, we have an assessment, just trying to gauge the technical knowledge that the student would have gained over the course of the curriculum. But we also give a lot of importance to the cultural fit to TKII. And cultural fit is two-way. There are a lot of things that we learn from these youngsters, but at the same time, we are a company which has got a very strong DNA of a German company, with very strong DNA of a entrepreneurial business that's been run in India for last 75 years. So cultural fit is both ways. So we make that assessment. If I try to then talk about what do we look for when it comes to the lateral hires, I think given that services requires a lot of technical know-how, the assets of the customers, we are basically the custodians for those assets. And hence, when we hire somebody for experience, we do spend a lot of time and effort in terms of assessing the technical skills. Having said that, again, the cultural fit piece is always important, even for lateral hires. For cultural fit, I'll talk about it later also in the conversation, but just in a nutshell, we look for something what I call as service mindset. The service mindset is all about learning agility. The life cycle of the assets is going to be spanning decades. Many a times a boiler, the end of life for a boiler would be 30 years. So during that time, a person needs to learn and unlearn and learn a lot of skills, right? So continuous learning agility, competence or capability is absolutely essential for us. That's something what we try to assess, along with the other aspects of service mindset, which is the person has to be absolutely laser sharp focused on cash and profitability. Services as a business has to deliver profit and cash for the company. So we do try to make that assessment, how sensitive and how conscious a person is when it comes to managing our project's profitability if we are hiring for the project managers. For MBA hires, when we hire them from the college, We are now progressing towards case study based interviews in which we would offer live examples, problem statements from our business, and then we would like to gauge how would the typical MBA trainees would then solve that problem for us. And then over a period of time, when we are hiring lateral hires with management background, of course, the business management skills are absolutely important, and that's what we try to gauge. So there is a wide spectrum of our intake from colleges, from the industry, and then accordingly, we've also had very tailor-made assessments that we do for each of those streams. Hope I have answered your question, Alvin.
Definitely. I think that was a lot of insight for people who want to apply for a job, and that's the key to get into TKII. So, Puneet, thanks for that insight. And during this, you also mentioned a very important point about career, about continuous learning. So, wanted to know how does TKII help in professional development and growth once these people join us? So we cracked and we understood how do we move ahead and join TKII. Now, what next? How do I grow professionally in TKII, and what kind of support do I receive?
Again, a fantastic question. Gives me an opportunity to talk about another aspect of service business. As many times as I repeat, it's not enough that services is a people business. So if you look at almost all other businesses, right, majority of the value addition or value creation for customers actually happens from machines. If this is IT industry, I know there's a lot of intellect which goes into it, but then it also depends on what kind of softwares you're using and the machines on which you're running those software. If it is manufacturing, it's a lot about your manufacturing setup. But for services, a big chunk of the value creation happens by people for people, and hence we keep reminding ourselves that it's great to hire great people from the market, but if we do not consciously develop them, we are going to be doing injustice to them and also to us, just because of the fact that services is a people business. So with that conviction within us, we are trying everything that the industry can think of in terms of developing the skills, be it technical or behavioral skills, for those that join TKII. I'll give you some examples. These are very cliched examples, but I think they are very, very powerful.
Yeah, in fact, I was going to place my next question on few success stories or live examples that you would share, because it's important for an organization to grow. People need to grow. People need to be developed. People need to learn. So it would be great if you could help us with insights on a few examples.
No, of course. So one thing is, when you hire someone, let's say you have hired somebody from the market, and then you're going to a customer saying that here is a company which has been into existence for the last 75 years. Now the customers would buy, or the customers would give you that business with the faith that anybody who's working for your company within the services business has been trained on the legacy of a company which has existed for the last 75 years, right? So if we really were to hold ourselves to that kind of test and that kind of conviction levels that the customers expect of us, what we do is, when you hire somebody, you would always make an assessment as to what's the level of complexity, technically or otherwise, in terms of managing projects that the person could manage. Depending on that, then you custom made a program, a training and a development program for that person. For example, somebody who has to be deputed to our operations and maintenance sites, we would usually impart to them technical knowledge from a central cell, and then we would attach them to experienced people at site before they can independently take up the roles for which they've been hired, right? So there is a certain gestation period which is offered. We are also, at a company level, we have a learning platform. So every month there is a training calendar which gets published, and the employees with identified development needs can enroll for those programs. As we speak, Elton, so we have set up a safety school or a safety training academy for TKII, We want to be the best in the industry. In fact, I was talking to my team last week, and I said, why can't our strongest differentiation in the Indian market be safety?
Which is a very important aspect.
Yeah. So right. So many times we struggle in terms of being the most cost competitive company, or most from a price standpoint the lowest in the market. So why can't we flip the problem statement, saying that why can't we be the best when it comes to our safety performance? And with that, very happy to share with the audience that at TKI we have a safety academy which we have set up across the company for services for all other divisions of the company. And we now have got very concrete plans to also set up a TKI training academy. So this is going to be a training academy in which we would induct people from the market, and also could be from the diploma institutions here in the country, and then we would develop them for the skills that we would like. Now, coming to the second part of your question, which is, can I share some examples?
People always look forward to real heroes, and nothing less than a hero in a professional environment.
Absolutely. So, I've got hundreds of examples, but let me narrate to you an example of an individual who started as a maintenance engineer with us. And then over a period of time, from maintenance engineer, he took up the roles for a project management function. He then took up the role for an operations head, who then took up a role and is today heading one of our business segments, right? So this is a typical career progression that a person could get. Also looking back at my experience, even outside TKI, I think the best career paths are offered wherein somebody joins our field teams. These could be engineers. So they join the field team, they get a lot of exposure, and that exposure is so powerful for services when it comes to selling. So I've got many examples wherein the best field engineer then also becomes the best service sales engineer. It's the same person who is then given a lot of responsibility to then head maybe one smaller business unit, and eventually grows on to take a full responsibility. So Elton, I've got many examples. I'm not calling out names here, but a general progression I can tell you, from field to technical sales to sales, from sales to business. Okay, so these are the kind of progressions. The other one which I have seen is a field engineer moves on to project management. So I've got many colleagues here who at some point in time were part of the field team, and then over a period of time, given their own competence and their potential, they are now managing projects. And we've got wide spectrum of projects. Some of them are projects which are of shorter gestation period, and some of them are fairly large and complex. Happy to share with the audience that even for the largest and the most complex projects, we have got many people who actually did not really start from project management. They started from something else and then progress. So there's a wide spectrum of opportunities which are available for people within the company, within services, in fact.
Right, and rightly people say, if you're ready to learn, sky is the limit. So that's the real example as we talk.
Absolutely.
So, Puneet, I'm sure a lot of people start imagining their success stories and the way to move ahead. So, for the audience, what are the various entry-level jobs that TKI is currently hiring for? We should have a good platform for people here, the audience, to look forward to join you.
Yeah. So, assuming that we have some students also who've joined us. Assuming, so that's my assumption. Every year we hire graduate engineer trainees, we hire diploma engineer trainees, and we also hire the MBA trainees, right? So the first two from technical institutions, then we hire from the MBA institutions for the MBA. Now, once they join TKI, what is that we offer to them? So I'll again, answer for each of those streams. So the ones who are joining us from engineering colleges, so they are the ones who would then undergo more than a year-long graduate engineer trainee program. So this is the program in which they get exposed to jobs across various functions. And then eventually they take up role in one of the functions. That could be engineering, that could be project management. When it comes to the diploma engineer trainees, we usually hire them for our site jobs. Many times they also progress eventually back into our engineering roles also, but a natural first place for them is going to be they are hired for maintenance jobs at our sites. That could be electrical maintenance, that could be mechanical maintenance. When it comes to the management trainees, they are the ones, usually they would start with functions such as strategy function. So that's the function in which if one is placed for a year, one gets a lot of good overview about the way we conduct our business. And then from there onwards, sales is another function, business development is another function. This is about the ones who are freshers. But when it comes to the lateral hires, within services, we have got engineering as a function in which always, we keep looking for great talent. Within engineering, there is always a requirement for application engineers. There is always a requirement for process engineers. There's always a requirement for structural engineers when it comes to mechanical engineering, as an example. And then comes also from controls and instrumentation or from electrical side. So wide spectrum of roles that we offer. And as these people progress further, or as we hire people who are much more experienced, there are also roles such as head of engineering, head of project management, and within project management also, we've got a tiered approach. For senior project managers, we offer them the complex projects. So fairly wide spectrum of roles that we offer to people. And I'm again repeating. So the good thing about services is that the life cycle is too long for us to focus on just one function. Unlike an industry wherein almost everybody would say this is a time for us to just make our sales and build our backlog. In services, there is always you build a backlog, but I think the focus usually stays on delivery portion, which is
around the clock all over.
Right, absolutely.
Right. So a huge bouquet of opportunities for people.
Yeah.
Okay. So Puneet, you mentioned about opportunities for all streams of freshers. Now, talking about freshers, young blood, very innovative. So, how does TKI look at innovation within the organization?
So, as far as innovation is concerned, again, if you just look at it, when you have to differentiate yourself in the market, you can differentiate yourself on cost, you can differentiate yourself on quality. You can also differentiate yourself on a brand, which is underlying could be, all these things that I talked about. But what's really required for one to derive value from each of these things? It's basically technology and innovation. That's the play that we have. And hence, as a company, as a division, we lay a lot of importance on technology and on innovation. In the same breath, I must say that, we have skin in the game when it comes to almost all our contracts with our customers. If we do not do continuous improvement, if we do not do kaizens, if we do not offer a lot of value each year, incremental value to our customers, contractually we have skin in the game. We have incentives in place, and hence we encourage our employees to do these kaizen events. They get trained on those. We also, as I mentioned, we also have a TKI Learning Academy. So, that's another way or a platform through which we encourage our employees to enroll themselves for programs. The good thing is that we've got lots of experts in the company. So if somebody wants to do a deep dive, a thorough training around technical aspects, there are people who have spent decades in this field, right? So they are the ones who then offer such training programs. We also offer, as a company, we also offer opportunities for our top performers, employees with high potentials or identified potentials. We also offer them training and developmental opportunities outside the company. We send them to training programs across good MBA institutions here in the country. Many times those are managerial interventions, sort of management development programs. But we also always look out for, are there tailor-made programs? For example, we were just as a management team, we were thinking, do we have any institution here in the country which offers a very tailored and a focused program for, say, service managers? Service managers, unlike other managers, marketing managers and all, there is definitely a different need for them, right? So we always
It's a very
also,
different thought that I've heard of, and it's
yeah,
amazing to hear this.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And then we also file a lot of patents. As TKI, there is a lot of self-reliance that we have on technology, and this is built over a very strong IP that we have registered in our name over last many years.
Great. So, Puneet, you spoke a lot about technology
Yeah.
during this last response. So, want to know what is it built for technology and digitalization within your strategy?
I think now you're coming to a topic which I'm absolutely passionate about. We always say that
That's where everyone is moving towards, and everyone is eager to know how is this going to change the job market? How is it going to change the way we work?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think many times in our management discussions here, we challenge ourselves. We say, okay, yesterday night I offered something from Swiggy, I offered something from Amazon, and I got certain experience. Today I'm in office and I'm still, juggling between these Excel sheets and phone calls and this and that for where are my parts at this point in time, right? So I think the need for digitalization is clearly identified. And good thing is that as TKI, we are committing capital to this. As we speak, we are digitalizing our operations and maintenance experience for our customers. If historically we have done this business through, paper or Excel sheets, we clearly are trying to make an attempt wherein the entire workforce or the work instructions piece, workflow of a typical operation and maintenance project, can it be digitized completely? So Elton, there is a lot that we are doing as a company on digitization. I've given you just one or two such examples, but we also explore. A week back, I was talking to a company which is into the technology of drones. So when we have our material handling projects, operation and maintenance projects going on in the hills somewhere in Orissa, instead of having a surveillance which is done by people, can't that be done by drones? So drones is one technology which we are very clearly looking at in terms of what value it can offer to us. The other one is artificial intelligence and big data. So there is a lot of analytics that we can get from tons and tons of data that we collect from our customer assets. So that information we are processing to do what we can offer to customers as incremental value. So these are So these are a couple of things that I just talked about. But very passionate. That's something which many of my team members continuously look for. To give you an example, we deal with lots of belts, conveyor belts. So those belts run into kilometers, and if there is a belt snap or a belt cut, right, it actually means crores for our customers or for us. And here we are developing solutions wherein we can not only detect that there is a cut in the belt at the right time, but then take immediate actions so that the loss is minimized. So a lot of such interesting topics we offer. All our contracts that we have with our customers, we are also digitizing the contract performance management. Can all the contracts that we are doing for our customers, can they be centrally reviewed here using very strong analytics? So a lot of topics for people to work on. Excitement is there and commitment is there from the company, Elton.
Great. Thanks, Puneet. So broadening the topic a little more, moving away from jobs and the typical questions, moving towards environment. So how does TKI contribute towards sustainability and environmental issues?
So super proud to share with you, Elton, and with the rest of the group that whatever we do today has got a very strong positive impact on the environment. Let me give you a couple of examples. A big chunk of the business that we do for our customers is on the operation and maintenance. Now, each of those contracts has got an inbuilt scope which requires us to maintain those equipments so that they perform to a certain level of efficiency. As you can all imagine, 1 decimal point of efficiency ultimately translates into lesser fuel that those machines would consume. So we have most of our contracts wherein the performance of TKI is impacting the performance of customer assets on the positive side, and hence is helping the customers to reduce their environmental impact. The other one is a big chunk of our business. We do what we call as revamps. So if there is a boiler which was built, say, 10 years ago, and at that point in time, the emission levels here in the country on NOx, on SOx, those were lenient then. But as we all know that all these environmental norms are getting tighter day by day. So then we undertake technological interventions on those boilers, wherein we reduce the emission footprint of those machines. So I gave you two examples. One is on operation and maintenance. The other one is on the revamps. But I think almost everything that we do as of today has got a very strong positive impact on the environment. I must also say that when we talk about environment, an essential aspect of that is how safely we work. That's also an aspect of sustainability. As TKI, I've already told to you that within services, we have a vision that let's create the strongest brand recall in the market in terms of safe operations that we undertake for our customers. And there, we have got a very robust framework to evaluate each of the contracts that we enter in. And once we have entered into a contract, then we have got trained service officers. And in fact, those service officers also train the rest of our staff so that we also stay absolutely laser sharp focused on our environmental impact around safety, safe operations, with absolutely high level of commitment in terms of any kind of waste that we generate from our operations.
Great. Thanks, Puneet. So that was about safety and environment. Now, from here, let's move to society and let us know what is the importance of diversity and inclusion within the organization.
So I think every topic that you're talking about, I always say, this is the topic for me to share my thoughts.
When it comes to
yeah. But I think what I've done, Elton, over the years is I have developed a framework, and that framework always brings me back to the people business side of services. Services needs people, talented people. We need to hire talented people, high performers, and then we need to retain them. And I think that's where diversity and an inclusive work culture is absolutely essential for us. To give you a live example, right? So we have contracts which are spreading all across the country, right? Be it northern part of the country or western part of the country. So if we had to hire people in those regions, we need to absolutely show, absolutely high respect for diversity and also a very inclusive work culture. What do I mean by inclusive work culture? So if you hire people from northern part of the country, they are experts in their respective fields, but they are then deployed because of our business needs. They are then deployed in some other part of the country. We are absolutely cognizant that people from different parts of the country would also require help and support on certain aspects just because they are working in a geographically diversified workplace than what they're used to. When it comes to gender diversity also, there is a lot of scope for improvement for us, but we stay committed to that. When we create our job descriptions, I know a lot of people do that. It's not easy. We have to remind ourselves every day that we have to create gender neutral job descriptions. That's absolutely must for us to attract people from the diverse genders. So
I'm sure that would have created an impact also on the crowd getting diverted.
Absolutely. So this is actually, if you were to ask me, diversity and inclusion is an essential part of my business strategy, of my company's strategy. We will not be successful if we are not diverse, and we will not be diverse if we do not create an inclusive work culture.
All right. Great. Thanks, Puneet. Puneet, sorry, I had many more questions for you, but I see a lot of questions flowing in for the audience, and I would want to place that forward so that we get back with relevant answers to people. So I think one question that's come up pretty common through a lot of people is, any advice for people who are exploring a career with TKII? How do they go ahead with that?
I think it's a very easy answer, at the same time also a very difficult answer. The easy answer is that TKI is looking out for uh, great performers from the market. We have got openings almost across all the disciplines, engineering, management. So, so what does it mean in terms of my advice to people? The first one is that please shed your inhibitions around changing your sector. It's again about fungibility of skills. So if you've done amazing things within industrial services in, say, in one sector, uh, please do not be under any kind of hesitation to apply for jobs at TKII, because at least within services, I know those skills are fungible. When we are looking out for project managers, if somebody has done project management for transport sector here in the country, especially within services within the transport sector, I think there'll be absolutely no problem for us to hire that person for project management within TKI. So please leverage your network, expand your network, reach out to us at TKI, reach out to TAG, and then if you've done great things in industrial services in other sectors, we have a safe harbor for you at TKI. So this is my advice. Yeah.
Great. So, sorry, Puneet, it's running out of time, so I'll take one more question from the audience. This is an interesting question. So, Puneet, what is your story with TKII? So, great question, and I'm so sure there's going to be an interesting story coming up.
Yeah. So I think I'll extend my story beyond TKI, because it's been around a couple of months, 5 months to be precise, for me at TKI. But if I just look back at my own career, I started as a hardcore research and development engineer, again within services. I've had a post graduation from Germany, so I was spending months just on one component of a machine, which was to be upgraded. From research and development, then I graduated to project engineering, wherein I started dealing with engineering for a complete project. And then over a period of time, especially once I did my MBA from ISP Hyderabad, after that, I started as the head of strategy for one of the companies here in the country. And then from there onwards, from strategy for services, I think what remained common for me was always services. So head of strategy for services, head of operations for services, head of business for services. And then the great thing is that even if I had moved out of those companies and have joined TKII, the excitement of the challenges which are posed by services as of today still are pretty much the same. How can we deliver more profit for our company? How can we deliver more cash efficiency for our company? How can we grow this business? How can we penetrate the other OEM fleet? So I think I've had an exceptionally satisfying career all through services, from engineering to project management, operations, strategy, and eventually as a business head that I am here at TKI. So if this can motivate a few of the audience here today, it's a real life story that I'm narrating to all of you. But I am sure, given the importance of services business for companies, I also know for a fact that there are people who, by virtue of their excellent work within services divisions, eventually got to the helm of those companies. Services is that much important to any company, and hence it offers an exciting career path. There were days, Alton, when people used to ask me, services is the smallest business in a company. Why do you think it's an attractive career path compared to the other divisions, for example? But I've always been trained that way to think that services usually contributes the most profit and cash per capita or per employee. and hence the importance of services is always recognized.
Great, great, Puneet. A clear example that, okay, growth need not be only in one direction, but then this diversified opportunities to grow and move ahead in your career. Unfortunately, we're running out of time, but thank you so much, Puneet, for this, for all these insights and sharing a wonderful experience with us. So this brings us to the end of the session. Friends, thank you everyone for being such a wonderful audience with so many comments, questions that I'll put forward. So this is not just the end. Be with us in the coming weeks. Definitely, we'll have many more events, many more similar events. So please join us at Career Circles Community. The link is shared in the chat window. And in case of any feedback, any inputs, please do write to us at careercircles@tag.in, and we'll be more than happy to listen to you all. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks a lot once again, Puneet.
Thank you so much, Alton, for giving me this opportunity. And I sincerely hope that, out of this conversation, at least we'll get a lot of people who will be excited to join TKI. So we are going to be welcoming them with open arms. Thank you so much.
I'm sure you'll see a lot of people who are part of the audience, and you'll see them soon in TKI.
Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks a lot. Thanks, everyone. Have a great weekend. Bye.